Trylko here with UCF head coach of softball, Cindy Ball-Malone. Coach, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Wanted to start off with this. UCF celebrated National Girls and Women in Sports Day. What's an early memory for you of falling in love with sports?
You know what? Honestly, for me was just remembering being out there with my mom and my aunt. They both played softball, and they didn't play the windmill softball. Like, they played the slingshot softball. And I remember being on just a grass field having a t-ball practice, and they were our coaches, and we were the only one in the league that had female coaches. And I just felt super empowered and proud that my aunt and my mom were the ones that could help me, do that and find that love. And I was terrible. I was a terrible softball player, but thankfully it became better with a little practice.
How have you seen opportunities change for young ladies in sport, and especially in softball?
You know where it really was noticeable was when I coached at the junior college level in like 2007, 2009, or maybe 2008 to 2010, something like that. And a lot of the support that those women were getting from their families was very different from the baseball side. Like, talking to the baseball coach and seeing what their parents were willing to pay for them to play, and basically like that mindset from the families and the support was, if you didn't get a scholarship, like, it's time to go to work, and maybe you get your school, but go to work. And now the game is so big. Like, from a softball standpoint, we're getting more views than the college baseball World Series. And so, just to say, the opportunities and the amount of coaches that are out there that work with their athletes now, as far as like lessons at the younger ages, the amount of support that you're getting from parents, and now you're seeing a lot of softball players doing like the strength and conditioning before high school and even before college. And I can't even say that I really lifted a weight before I got to college back then. So just really emphasizing the importance of their sport, and that's what they do. And it's not just, you're seeing a lot of women and a lot of girls and females in those weight rooms and in lessons and in the cages now. So just that support, and like I think really that trend of it's fun to watch softball, and it's getting more recognition than it had before, and it's going to get more. It deserves even more. So
How do you view the trajectory of the program that you're building? Where are you at in that process in your mind, in the development of the program?
From a culture standpoint, I would say we're continuing to trend up, and that's always important. From a leadership standpoint, the same. We've had some great leaders leave their legacy here and help us in that way. We're young this year, but don't take that as like, oh, I'm saying this is a rebuilding year of any means. We're going to make some mistakes maybe that we didn't make last year with 15 underclassmen, but being young isn't a bad thing. With that youth, we still bring a lot of talent, and we're trending up in that way too. We're getting top athletes, every year. Our ranking in our recruiting classes is going up. This class was good. Next year's is going to be really good. The year after that is looking good as well. But again, it's still youth, and still needing to have experience and having their cleats in the dirt. So I would say it's going in the direction I definitely want it to go. We want it to be a traditional thing, or just in our tradition of UCF is in postseason. Regionals is not far enough for us. It's not just okay just getting there. We want to see UCF in the super regional brackets and in the Women's College World Series.
Do you look back on last season as satisfying, considering what you accomplished?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, it was like getting one bite of something really, really yummy and good, and you want more. And so we did some great things given the circumstances of COVID and haven't been there with, at least with this group. But we still underperformed when it came to our talent level. And that's something that a lot of our returners, touch on is it was great, but it wasn't enough and we want more. So again, it's going to take time and experience. And now having been there, they know what to expect. Like we only had 2 or 3 girls or women on the team that knew what a regional even played out to be, and being there, and they played in those regionals in a different jersey. So having that experience is going to help us move forward. But yeah, it was definitely hungry for more.
You've built a schedule in 2022 packed with top 25 opponents. What do fans not understand perhaps about the move from the American to the Big 12? It's not as big a leap as in some other sports. You're already playing at a high level within the American, and you schedule, and other teams schedule you because they know what they're going to get in a top 25 matchup.
Sure. Well, that's a great point. That's something that, we talk about a lot is like, well, what are you going to do different now? And it's like, really nothing. I mean, we're getting maybe some more attention sooner from some athletes from a recruiting standpoint. But we would still get that attention, maybe just not as early in the game. But yeah, the American in softball is typically top 5 rankings within conferences. And we're playing the same schedule as if we were, Big 12, American, you name it. We're going to play the toughest schedule. And that's why we do get the athletes we get. But there are, for our school, our institution, and the other sports around us, it's a big thing, and we're really excited for it. And I believe our women and our school and our program all deserve it.
While you still have Aaliyah White as a grad assistant, you don't have her out in the circle. What has it been like approaching this season without that mainstay of Aaliyah White on your pitching staff?
Well, that's a big part of the reason of going back into the bullpen. Not only, hearing from Giana Mancha and a few others of wanting that one-on-one attention from me, but I knew that we were going to have some development in there. And Aaliyah White being in the shoes she is in now is a more relieving than not having her at all. But there's so many things that she did that you could just rely on, and you got spoiled with. She'll flip a changeup when you want her to at any time with a hitter. They're like, how do you get them out? Just throw 3 changeups, we'll be fine. And she could do it, right? And well, this girl hits the ball inside, yeah, but Lily's still going to attack them at the hands. So I know that the women that we have in our staff right now can do some of those things. It's just going to be getting that experience. And Aaliyah White really, she had a great career, but if you look at like the trend in her, last 3 years, and how she just continued to get stronger and better, and like use her pitches and understand what pitches she could use when and whatnot. I mean, that's what our staff is going to be able to get to develop as well. Going to have to be to some tough opponents, but yeah, we're going to rely on different parts of our game that maybe Lily carried the weight in, and that's okay. We've been preparing for that. It was a blessing to have her last year when we didn't think we were going to have her last year. So excited to, see some, maybe a different dynamic of UCF softball. And we've been preparing for it all fall and the beginning of the spring here.
What kind of competitor is pitcher Giana Mancha?
Fierce, but always has a smile on your face. You got to watch out for those ones too that have the smile on their face, because they can be the eeriest. But the thing I know about Giana is the minute that we got back, I think that she started training the next day. And I was like, wait, well, so what are you doing as a college? Like having fun during the summer? This is your off time? She said, no, we train. We go out to the field because we're not allowed to train with them during the summer. And then we nap and do our homework. And I was like, well, that's kind of boring. Are you going to go like on a trip? Or she said, no, I want to get to super regionals. So And if super regionals like is in the future, the World Series isn't far away. So I mean that's the type of competitor she is. And I guess I'll kind of say it like this too. She wasn't alone here training. She had like 10 to 12 others that stayed with her. So um, it's fierce and it's infectious.
As we talk about your pitching staff, how can her leadership help you grow the staff?
I mean, she's already doing it now. So I'm really blessed to have both Aaliyah White and Giana Mancha here helping build up our staff and continue to have a strong staff. I've said this before in numerous interviews that I was always nervous about that relationship with Giana Mancha and Aaliyah White. And silly me, they are great. They work great together. Um, they love to challenge each other, and she's doing the same with the youngsters in our staff, and also with Kama Woodall. We talk about Lily White graduating and moving on, and we've got Kama who's kept her team in so many games last year. And so now, we're going to be able to put the other pieces of the puzzle behind her with those pitching performances, and she's going to be able to reap some of those benefits that she's deserved. But both those two, Gianna and Kama, have really worked hard to help um, teach our freshmen and sophomore pitchers um, just what it's like, the grind, um, you know, sometimes getting out of your own way. And the cool thing is after they're done pitching, they have the opportunity to leave and they stay and watch their teammates. So like if we have a live session that day, once Gianna's done pitching, she can take off and watch film or do her treatment or whatever, but she stays and watches all the other pitchers throw live. And then she goes and chats with them. And um, you can't teach that. I mean, you could tell them to do it, but the fact that she chooses to and wants to shows her investment in this program and the future of the program.
Strong defense will help your pitching staff. What do you expect, especially on your infield defense?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of new faces, and we're going to figure out what's the best fit and what's the best combination. Maybe we have it at the beginning of the year as far as what that best combination is, and maybe we'll figure out in the middle of the year. We're very competitive, and so it's hard to say like this is the lineup and this is what the lineup's going to be. We have a few players, especially one player that's coming off of an injury from last year, and we're going to be smart about how we use her and make sure that she's at her best and at her strongest at the end of the year. And so as far as infield goes, like they know they've got their work cut out for them. We graduated and also maybe moved on to another school, 3 key roles in the infield in first base, shortstop, and catcher. So you're going to see some new faces there, whether they've been on the team before or not. So I think we're going to do some really great things, and then we're going to show some of our youth, and then we're going to learn from it and get better. And that's really been the key of we're going to play in these tough games, and the game is already tough enough. Our opponents are even tougher. And so let's be good to each other and have fun and keep learning and play our best at the end.
It must be nice as the head coach to pencil in Jada Cody and Shannon Doherty, maybe with permanent ink in that lineup. Yes. What do they mean for your offense, the bats they bring?
Well, I know that our pitchers hate pitching to them, especially when they're on the same group or team. And I know that our opposing pitchers feel the same way. So it's just that, you might get past one, but try to get past 2. And so you put them together and they protect each other and they feed off of each other. They challenge each other. But they're dynamic too. Like they can do a lot of things. They can hit the long ball, but they can also, situational hit when we need it against a tough dominant pitcher. And they've done very well in expanding their game. So, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that we were preparing them to absolutely dominate in the atmosphere that they ended in last year. They've been practicing in that environment this whole fall and spring. So those two especially. But it's fun because you're seeing, our freshman Ashley Griffin jump right on in with them. And it's cool for her to have someone to watch and someone to learn from in both of them.
Do you expect to win games in a different way than you won them last season?
I expect to win games in a different way and in the same way. We talk about like, well, we have, we've things that have moved on or, graduated from our program. That doesn't mean that other people can't step into those places. But yeah, we are a quicker team. I thought we were a pretty quick team last year. We're even quicker this year. So I imagine we're going to move the ball around a little bit, and maybe we are not going to rely on the long ball so much, but also defensively having to rely on our defense a little bit more. Maybe we don't have, Leah White had a lot of strikeouts, and our younger pitchers are great pitchers. They have awesome, awesome dynamic of mixing speeds, movement, velocity, but maybe they don't get the swings and misses that she got in her 5th year. So we're going to get outs in different ways. And then, the goal is to build up to getting those swings and misses. So I think I told the team this last week or the week before that I'm in a point in my career where I don't have to prove anything as far as, we have to win this game. Like we beat Florida twice last year. We beat Arizona. We had 3 top 5 wins. So it's not something where we have to prove anything. Now it's more of like, we know that we're good and we're allowed to go through some of the development that needs to occur in the games and not have to like, we've got to win every game. Well, no, we got to get better so that we play our best at the end, so that, when we're up against Florida State, we put some runs on the board. It's not just about getting there. And I'm referring to regionals last year. So I believe we're going to go about it in that way where, there were a lot of times in the year last year where I would bail them out, like helping them with certain things in the game. And I'm in that place now where I trust that they're going to figure it out, and they need to maybe learn something here and there during the game instead of like, okay, we won this game, but then we didn't learn the actual message that we should have learned. Hopefully this makes sense, but I really believe that it's going to be a full year of having a vision, playing it out, letting us ride some of our ups and downs to figure out who our team is, and taking some risks when maybe we didn't take as many risks as we did last year.
When you look back at that regional, you get the win over Auburn and Kennesaw State, but the 2 close losses to Florida State, how do you view the degree of difference, that little bit of separation between your program and Florida State, and considering how deep a run they make, right, in that NCAA? What's the difference between those 2 programs?
Well, I think the difference is they reached potential as a team, as their team, and we performed well, but we didn't reach our full potential as a team. And a lot of that has to do with the mental aspect, and the psychological aspect of, being there and understanding, like you may fail in this at bat and this at bat, but then your 3rd or 4th at bat, like you're going to make an adjustment and get that big hit, like some of them did. And again, I think that really has to, I tell them like, act like you've been there sometimes. Well, how do you tell them that when they hadn't been there at all and they don't know what that's like, So I definitely think that that's going to be huge in putting them in those moments. So playing in the environments that we have, we started off our fall in Florida, and had, I think, like 2,000, 3,000 fans there at the beginning of the game. Eye-opening for our freshmen. I looked out to some of them and their eyes are like, holy cow. So we got through that piece. We're going to be playing in the ESPN, the invite at Clearwater, and there's no break there. You can't take a pitch off. They'll come and get you. So it's definitely going to put us in a place of being prepared and being able to play at the highest level. But that's the difference that I think, because if you take our game and our strengths that we were able to do at the beginning of the year, we didn't show up with those strengths in those last two games. Well, second and fourth game of the regionals that we played. We didn't show up with those. We definitely played the opponent and not our game. And FSU has been a traditional postseason team, World Series team, and they do well of figuring it out. They had a tough go in April, I think it was, of their season, and then once they figured it out, they didn't look back. And I don't think we had that figure out moment that we had to have in the middle of the year. So I believe that this schedule is going to put us in that position, and even some of our youth, like we talked about, is going to put us into that position of we'll be our strongest at the end because of having to figure some things out.
You have to see how the games play out, of course, but what are some questions that you're looking for answers in the first week or two of the season, perhaps?
Yeah, we talked about Jada Cody and Shannon Doherty, and how the players around them are going to protect them in the lineup. I'm excited to see, some of our slappers that we really implemented that triple threat. I'm excited to see how they start to work that and let the process kind of ride out and not just, wait one time to try it and then that's it. I'm just excited to watch them make adjustments and make them quicker than the game requires. And then with our pitching staff, my husband actually asked me this the other day because, you come out and you watch our pitchers from when we got here on campus in August to now. We were watching film at home on, 11 o'clock at night. And he said, you've got your pitching staff that you've wanted. Cause the last couple of years we've had two arms go. And this year, everyone in our lineup can get outs. And I don't just mean just get outs. Like they can get the job done and be a number one or a two on a really good team. And I said, yeah, it's kind of, we've got all parts, like they all do different things. And so I'm excited to see that work out, especially in the next 2 weeks and grow in the next 2 weeks with the challenges that we have ahead of us.
And for folks that are new to the game, haven't been out in a while, if your team is playing like you hope and that they hope, what will fans see?
Well, fans will see a fast, strong, clean ball, basically. So I'll throw it out there. We're going to steal bases when we can, because we can. We're going to put the ball in play and put the game in motion. You're going to see some dominant pitching performances. We have 3 pitchers that can throw 65 plus. 4 pitchers that can throw 65 plus. And then you're going to see a pitcher that's going to come in and just be that thorn in your side. And a power 5 team, like you're going to see a top 25 team.
Safe to say you're pretty excited about what's coming your way this season.
Absolutely.
Head coach, softball, UCF, Cindy Ball-Malone, thanks so much for joining us again and good luck this season.
Thank you.